There comes a time in life when you've got to learn that not every battle deserves your voice. Not every storm deserves your energy. And not every critic deserves your answer. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is focus on yourself and stay silent. Because silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. And focus is not selfishness, it is survival. When you decide to grow, when you decide to evolve, when you decide to step into the fullness of who you were designed to be, you will notice noise all around you. People will talk, opinions will rise, distractions will come. But here is the truth. Flowers don't bloom by arguing with weeds. Stars don't shine by competing with the darkness. You don't reach destiny by debating with doubters. You reach it by focus. You reach it by silence. You don't have to clap back at everybody who claps at you. You don't have to post a response to every whisper that floats your way. Because when you are truly focused, you understand that time is too precious, energy is too valuable, and destiny is too urgent to be wasted on pettiness. Sometimes the best response is no response. Stay silent while you build. Stay silent while you heal. Stay silent while you grow. Because silence protects what is still fragile. Silence covers what is still in process. Silence guards the seed until it becomes a harvest. If you open your mouth too soon, you'll give your enemies access to what they never should have seen. If you waste your energy on small-minded battles, you'll have nothing left for the real war. You've got to know when to let the noise be noise and let your work speak for itself. Because your results will answer louder than your rebuttals ever could. Your success will silence what your voice never can. Don't argue, don't explain, don't chase validation, just focus, just grow, just rise. Because eventually, the same people who doubted you will have no choice but to witness what silence produced. There comes a point in life where you must learn that not everything deserves your attention, and not everyone deserves your reply. The temptation to speak, to explain, to defend, to clap back at the voices that rise against you is strong, but true strength is not always found in speaking. Sometimes it is found in silence. Silence is not weakness, it is strategy. Silence is not surrender, it is wisdom. And when you combine silence with focus, you begin to discover the power of conserving your energy for what truly matters. Because life will always present you with distractions, critics, and noise. And if you are not careful, you will spend your time reacting to what does not deserve your response instead of building what you were created to build. When you make the decision to grow, when you step into the process of transformation, the chatter around you intensifies. People begin to form opinions, not always because they see clearly, but often because they cannot comprehend the shift that is happening in you. They will question your motives. They will question your methods. They will question your progress. And if you are not anchored, you will find yourself consumed by the need to justify yourself. But the truth is that you do not owe anyone an explanation for the work you are doing within. The seed does not explain to the soil how it will break forth. The caterpillar does not explain to the world why it hides away in a cocoon. And you do not have to explain why you are pulling back, why you are focusing, why you are choosing silence. Focus requires discipline. It requires the maturity to recognize that time is too precious to be squandered on fruitless arguments. Every time you stop to respond to negativity, you delay your own progress. Every time you let distraction pull you into a fight that does not matter, you waste the strength that was designed for a higher purpose. Your destiny demands all of you. Your calling requires your complete attention. And if you are too busy answering whispers, you will miss the roar of opportunity standing in front of you. Some of the greatest victories you will ever win will not be won by raising your voice, but by holding your peace and staying on course. Silence has a way of protecting what is still fragile. Dreams in their infancy cannot withstand the weight of premature exposure. Visions that are still developing do not need the scrutiny of small minds. That is why builders often cover the foundation before the house is complete. Why a mother shields her unborn child until the appointed time of delivery. What is in process must be guarded, and silence is the shield that keeps it safe. When you learn to stay silent, you give your growth the chance to solidify before the world has the chance to tear it apart. But do not mistake silence for inactivity. Silence does not mean you are doing nothing. Silence means you are working where others cannot see. Silence means you are building in private, preparing in the shadows, laying bricks where no applause is heard. And when the time is right, the fruit of your labor will emerge so undeniable that it will silence every voice of doubt without you ever having to open your mouth. That is the beauty of focus. That is the strength of staying silent. Your results will speak louder than your responses. Your harvest will speak louder than your haters. Focus is the art of saying no to what is urgent so you can say yes to what is important. Focus is the discipline of refusing to be pulled into every battle because not every battle is yours to fight. Some fights are designed to drain you. Some arguments are designed to distract you. Some invitations are traps dressed up as opportunities. You must know what to ignore. You must know what to walk away from. You must know when to keep silent because silence is not losing. It is choosing. It is choosing to preserve your energy for what truly matters, choosing to pour your effort into what will actually last, choosing to invest in your growth instead of wasting yourself on noise. The greatest revenge is progress. The greatest answer is results. The greatest clapback is success. There are people waiting to see you break down, waiting to see you quit, waiting to see you retaliate in a way that proves them right. But when you focus, when you stay silent, when you keep moving forward, you rob them of that satisfaction. You show them that you are not easily moved, not easily shaken, not easily distracted. You teach them that your vision is bigger than their opinion. Your purpose is greater than their criticism. Your destiny is louder than their doubts. There are seasons in life where your greatest assignment is not to look around at who is watching, not to check the progress of those beside you, not to measure yourself against the yardsticks of people who were never called to walk your path. Your greatest assignment is to look inward, to focus on yourself, to tend to the soil of your own soul, and to water the seeds that have been placed in you. Because comparison is a thief, distraction is a robber, and attention scattered in too many directions will always lead to depletion. You cannot grow if you are constantly checking to see how tall the tree next to you has become. You cannot build if you are always peeking at your neighbor's blueprint. You cannot step into your purpose if your eyes are always on someone else's lane. Focus on yourself because your story is unique, your calling is distinct, and your process will not mirror anyone else's. There is a danger in living for the applause of others. There is a trap in craving validation, in waiting for someone to acknowledge what you carry before you believe in it yourself. When you focus on yourself, you learn that growth does not need an audience. Healing does not require approval. Progress is not dependent on recognition. The seed does not need a cheering crowd to break through the soil. It only needs consistency, nourishment, and time. When you begin to focus on yourself, you release yourself from the exhausting cycle of performance, the endless need to prove your worth to people who often cannot even see their own. You free yourself to develop quietly, intentionally, and authentically. Staying silent is not about shrinking back or hiding in fear. It is about realizing that not everyone deserves access to your process. Not every detail of your journey must be broadcasted. Not every step you take needs to be narrated. Because when you open yourself up too quickly, when you expose what is not yet finished, you invite criticism that has the power to derail you. There are people who cannot celebrate you, not because you are doing anything wrong, but because your growth threatens the insecurities they refuse to address. Silence keeps you from feeding your pearls to those who cannot value them. Silence gives you space to breathe, to adjust, to heal, to learn without interference. Focus is a matter of discipline, but it is also a matter of identity. When you know who you are, when you understand what you carry, you are less moved by the distractions around you. You stop being pulled into every argument. You stop needing to explain your every move. You stop living as though you owe everyone access to your thoughts. The most powerful version of you is the one that learns to operate from a place of clarity, grounded in the awareness that your destiny does not require constant explanation. The light of the sun does not ask for validation before it rises. The ocean does not seek applause before it roars. And you do not need permission to focus on yourself and remain silent while you build. Growth requires protection. A plant that is still tender needs shielding from harsh winds until its roots are strong enough to withstand them. In the same way, your vision, your purpose, your healing, your transformation, they all need the covering of focus and the shelter of silence. You do not have to share everything you are working on. You do not have to explain why you are pulling away from certain circles. You do not have to justify why you are no longer entertaining every invitation. Focus gives you the strength to say no without guilt, to protect what is precious without apology, to cultivate what is sacred without distraction. There is power in conserving your energy for what truly matters. Every time you invest and argue with small-minded critics, you drain yourself of the strength you need to face the real battles. Every time you allow yourself to be pulled into drama, you weaken your ability to build what is lasting. When you learn to stay silent, you are not avoiding the fight. You are choosing the right fight. You are choosing not to wrestle with shadows when you have mountains to climb. You are choosing not to spend your days convincing people when you could be spending your days creating results. Focus reminds you that your destiny is too great to be wasted on distractions. And when you do the work, when you nurture what has been placed in your hands, when you stay silent and let your results speak, the transformation will be undeniable. Those who doubted you will be confronted by the evidence of your progress. Those who whispered about you will be silenced by the sound of your success. And you will realize that the energy you once wasted on explanations and arguments was the very energy you needed to build the life you were destined to live. There are moments in life when you must come to terms with the reality that not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will celebrate your progress. And not everyone will stand beside you when you begin to walk into the fullness of who you are becoming. This is why you must learn to guard your heart, protect your space, and focus on yourself without feeling guilty about it. Because if you wait for people to affirm you, if you depend on others to validate you, you will always be at the mercy of their opinions. And opinions shift like the wind, unstable and unpredictable. One day lifting you up and the next day tearing you down. But when you focus on yourself, when you concentrate on the work that is within your hands and the assignment before you, you create a foundation that is steady regardless of what others say or think. It takes courage to shift your focus inward. It takes courage to say, I am no longer going to spend my energy trying to convince anyone of my worth. I am no longer going to scatter my attention across the endless noise of outside voices. I am no longer going to dilute my vision by entertaining distractions that do not serve my purpose. You must understand that growth happens when you redirect your energy from defending yourself to developing yourself. It happens when you invest in your own transformation rather than trying to manage how others perceive you. Because people may never see the full picture of who you are, but the fruit of your focus will eventually speak for itself. Staying silent is not the absence of power, but the redirection of power. It is choosing not to let words leak out where they will only be wasted. It is choosing to allow your energy to fuel your progress rather than fuel arguments. There is something powerful about holding your tongue when everything in you wants to defend yourself. There is something mighty about choosing quiet strength over loud reactions. Silence becomes a strategy, not a retreat. Silence becomes a shield, not a prison. Silence becomes a language of those who are so focused on building that they have no time to entertain battles that do not add to their destiny. There is a process to every promise. There is a wilderness before every promised land, a cocoon before every butterfly, a breaking before every breakthrough. And that process requires focus. It requires that you shut out unnecessary voices, that you quiet the noise around you, and that you discipline yourself to to look straight ahead. Because the road to purpose is not traveled by those who are constantly looking to the side, nor is it won by those who are easily distracted. If you are going to finish what you started, if you are going to step into the vision that has been placed inside you, you will have to master the art of silence and the discipline of focus. Many people lose momentum not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunity. They lack opportunity, but because they lack focus. They try to respond to every critic. They try to defend every misunderstanding. They try to carry the weight of what everyone else is saying. And in doing so, they dilute their energy until there is nothing left for what really matters. But when you make a decision that your destiny is too great for small distractions, that your assignment is too important for petty battles, you begin to experience a new level of strength. You begin to realize that silence is not weakness, but wisdom. You begin to understand that focus is not selfishness, but stewardship. Silence creates space for clarity. When you are constantly talking, constantly explaining, constantly trying to prove yourself, you leave no room for reflection, no space for listening, no margin for hearing the still, small voice that guides you. But when you pull back, when you quiet yourself, when you stop the endless need to be understood, you position yourself to receive wisdom, direction, and strength. And out of that silence emerges clarity. Out of that silence emerges creativity. Out of that silence emerges vision. There is a reason why builders cover their work until it is finished, why artists protect their canvases until the masterpiece is complete, why inventors guard their blueprints until the product is ready. It is because what is still forming cannot withstand premature exposure. In the same way, you must protect your process. You must guard your growth. You must shield your transformation with focus and with silence until the time is right for the unveiling. Because if you expose too much too soon, you invite voices that can sabotage what is still delicate. If you let every critic have access, you risk abandoning what has not yet reached maturity. When you learn to stay silent and focus on yourself, you take control of your narrative. You refuse to allow gossip to shape your story. You refuse to let negativity define your future. You refuse to live at the mercy of chatter. Instead, you let your results do the talking. You let your progress speak louder than your explanations. You let the evidence of your growth silence every doubt without you ever having to open your mouth. There is a discipline, the discipline that few people master, and it is the discipline of guarding their focus while keeping their silence. Most people want to talk about what they are going to do. They want to announce their next move. They want to prove to others that they are working on something big. But the ones who rise the highest are often the ones who learn that silence is protection and focus is power. When you announce too soon, when you reveal too early, you give access to voices that were never meant to have a say in your process. When you scatter your focus trying to explain yourself, you lose the very energy you need to build yourself. This is why you must train yourself to work in silence and let your results make the noise. The greatest breakthroughs do not begin in crowds, they begin in solitude. The greatest inventions are not birthed in applause, they are birthed in obscurity. The greatest transformations happen when no one is watching, when you are focused on the quiet work of developing, strengthening, and preparing. The soil does not boast when it is carrying the seed. The cocoon does not make announcements while the caterpillar is changing. Growth is often invisible before it is undeniable. That is why silence is so critical, because it gives your process the chance to unfold without unnecessary interference. Focus demands sacrifice. It demands that you say no to distractions, that you resist the urge to be everywhere, that you discipline yourself to pour your energy into what matters most. Focus is not easy because it requires you to ignore what is loud so you can invest in what is lasting. It means you cannot always respond to every opinion. You cannot always chase every opportunity. You cannot always explain every decision. You have to learn that your energy is finite, your attention is valuable, and your destiny cannot afford to be wasted on things that do not matter. Focus means choosing to guard your mind, choosing to protect your time, choosing to be intentional with your effort. There are people who will misunderstand your silence. They will think you are hiding. They will think you are weak. They will think you are uncertain. But they do not realize that silence is often the greatest show of strength. It takes strength to resist the temptation to prove yourself. It takes strength to keep building while others are talking. It takes strength to stand still and let your results speak for you. Weakness talks too much, but strength knows when to hold back. Weakness wastes energy on noise, but strength preserves energy for purpose. Staying silent while you focus does not mean you are ignoring reality. It means you are confronting it in the most powerful way possible. You are not wasting time fighting shadows. You are addressing the root. You are not spending your days debating with doubters. You are preparing to silence them with undeniable evidence. You are not wasting your breath explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds. You are saving your breath to fuel your journey. This is the discipline of those who understand that destiny does not require constant explanation. It requires consistent execution. There is a wisdom that only comes in silence. When you are always talking, you cannot hear. When you are always explaining, you cannot listen. When you are always defending, you cannot receive. But when you are silent, you create space for clarity to rise. You create room for direction to come. You allow wisdom to speak where noise once lived. Silence opens the door for insight, for revelation, for the kind of vision that can only be born in stillness. And once you have that clarity, once you have that direction, your focus sharpens like a blade and you become unstoppable. When you choose to focus on yourself and stay silent, you begin to notice how much stronger you feel. You notice how much energy you gain back because you are no longer wasting it on empty battles. You notice how much clearer your vision becomes because you are no longer clouded by the opinions of others. You notice how much progress you make because your attention is no longer divided. Focus accelerates you. Silence protects you. Together they create the environment for transformation. And when the time comes, when the seed that was hidden breaks through the soil, when the process that was covered is finally revealed, when the work that was done in silence finally speaks, the world will see what they could not understand before. The same people who doubted will witness the evidence. The same voices that whispered will be silenced by the results. The same distractions that once pulled at you will no longer have power over you because you will have built something so strong, so undeniable, that it speaks louder than your words ever could. There will always be seasons in life where the greatest challenge is not the obstacle in front of you, but the distraction around you. The voices, the noise, the whispers, the expectations, the constant pull to respond, to explain, to prove yourself. And yet, the truth is that you cannot walk into destiny if you are constantly turning your head to address every sound that calls your name. Focus requires you to discipline your vision. It requires you to keep your eyes fixed on the path before you, to resist the urge to be everywhere, to quiet yourself enough so that you can hear the deeper call inside. You cannot afford to be scattered. You cannot afford to be distracted because destiny is too costly to be cheapened by noise. There is something powerful about learning to stay silent while you are in the middle of becoming. When the clay is still on the wheel, it does not shout about its shape. When the foundation is being laid, it does not broadcast how tall the building will be. Silence protects what is unfinished. Silence shelters what is still forming. Too many people abort their potential because they expose it prematurely, inviting voices that question, critique, and contaminate what has not yet matured. You do not owe anyone access to your process. You do not owe anyone an explanation for the season you are in. Your only responsibility is to focus on becoming who you were designed to be, even if no one else understands the work that is happening inside of you. Focus is not about ignoring the world. It is about prioritizing what matters most. It means you choose to pour your energy into what builds you instead of what drains you. It means you refuse to invest in battles that leave you empty. It means you redirect your attention from proving people wrong to proving yourself faithful to the calling on your life. Every time you say yes to focus, you say no to distraction. Every time you embrace silence, you protect yourself from the trap of validation. And when you do this consistently, you begin to notice that the progress you make in private becomes undeniable in public. Staying silent does not mean that you are weak or passive. It means you are strong enough to know that not everything deserves your voice. It means you are wise enough to recognize that energy is precious. It means you are disciplined enough to let your results speak for you. The most powerful people are not always the loudest, but often the quietest. They are not wasting their words, they are investing their energy. They are not explaining their process, they are perfecting it. They are not arguing with small minds, they are preparing for big moves. Silence is the posture of strength. Focus is the evidence of vision. Together, they form the pathway to transformation. If you want to see growth in your life, you must learn to direct your energy inward. Stop pouring so much of yourself into convincing others to see what they may never be able to see. Stop spending your days answering questions that do not matter. Stop wasting your nights worrying about opinions that cannot change your destiny. Every ounce of energy you waste on the wrong thing is energy you could have invested in the right thing. And you cannot afford to keep giving your strength away to things that will not last. Focus teaches you to preserve yourself. Silence teaches you to protect yourself. Together, they position you to progress. The danger of distraction is that it always feels urgent, but it is rarely important. The danger of noise is that it always feels loud, but it is rarely lasting. If you live for the noise, if you chase the urgency of other people's opinions, you will always be running but never arriving. But when you turn inward, when you fix your eyes, when you silence the noise and center yourself on your true assignment, you begin to move with clarity, you begin to grow with intention, you begin to produce with consistency. And the fruit of your focus will always be louder than the clamor of distraction. What happens in silence is sacred. What happens in focus is transformative. The world may not see it yet. They may not understand it. They may even dismiss it, but in time, what you built in silence will speak for itself. In time, the seeds you planted while you were focused will bear fruit. In time, the results you labored for will silence every critic. You do not need to rush to prove them wrong. You do not need to explain yourself into exhaustion. You only need to keep your head down, keep your heart focused, keep your hands working, and let the evidence of your growth rise. When the time is right, there comes a stage in life where you realize that your growth is not tied to how loudly you speak, but to how deeply you focus. People often think that making noise is the same as making progress, but the truth is that progress is usually quiet. It happens in the still hours when no one is watching, in the silent sacrifices when no one is clapping, in the disciplined choices that no one applauds. That is why silence is so powerful, because silence is the environment where transformation takes root. Noise may attract attention, but focus produces results. If you spend your life chasing attention, you will have very little strength left to chase purpose. But if you spend your life cultivating focus, then you will build something that attention cannot ignore. Silence is not the absence of activity, it is the presence of intentionality. It is the decision to invest in what truly matters while ignoring what only distracts. It is the wisdom of understanding that not every opportunity is meant for you. Not every conversation deserves your input. Not every argument requires your defense. When you choose silence, you are not withdrawing from life. You are elevating above the noise of life. You are deciding that your future is too important to be wasted on petty debates and meaningless distractions. When you focus on yourself, you begin to notice the patterns that were holding you back. You start to recognize the habits that drain you and the cycles that keep you in the same place. You see the areas that require healing, the gifts that need developing, the strengths that have been ignored. This kind of clarity can only come when you shut out the noise and pay attention to the inner work that is calling for your attention. Too many people miss their breakthrough because they are so consumed with watching others that they never pause to examine themselves. They are so busy trying to outshine someone else that they never cultivate their own light. They are so distracted by the success of others that they never tend to their own soil. But when you focus on yourself, you stop wasting time comparing, competing, and complaining, and you start building, growing, and becoming. The discipline of staying silent is a test of patience. It means you must trust the process even when you do not yet see the results. It means you must endure being misunderstood without rushing to defend yourself. It means you must accept that not everyone will recognize your value immediately, and that is okay, because the seed does not demand recognition the moment it is planted. The seed trusts that if it stays hidden long enough, if it receives the right nourishment, it will break forth in due season. In the same way, your silence is not evidence that nothing is happening. Your silence is proof that something is happening beneath the surface, and in time it will manifest. Focus will require separation. It will require you to pull away from certain people, certain environments, certain distractions that once felt comfortable. And this separation may be painful, but it is necessary because you cannot carry everyone into your next season. You cannot remain in the same places with the same patterns and expect to see new results. Focus demands that you realign your energy, redirect your attention, and remove yourself from what does not serve your future. And silence protects you in the process because while you are shifting, while you are growing, while you are evolving, you do not owe anyone an explanation. When you focus and stay silent, you are teaching yourself discipline. You are training yourself not to react to every distraction, not to respond to every critic, not to chase every invitation that comes your way. You are learning how to preserve your energy for the battles that matter most. You are strengthening your capacity to endure the long process of growth. You are creating space for wisdom, clarity, and creativity to flow without interruption. And as you continue to build in silence, as you continue to grow in focus, what you are working on becomes too undeniable to be ignored, because there comes a time when silence speaks louder than words, when your results speak louder than your explanations, when your transformation speaks louder than your defenses. And when that time comes, those who doubted you, those who misunderstood you, those who questioned you will have no choice but to witness the evidence of your focus. They will see the harvest that was birthed in silence, the strength that was developed in obscurity, the progress that was cultivated in discipline, and they will realize that the quiet work you did within yourself was louder than any argument you could have ever made